Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tuesdays with Tabitha. This is a live stream that we do every Tuesday at 12 noon Eastern with tips to help you identify and resolve the conflict that might be in your workplace. My name is Tabitha, and I am your host. And I am an attorney, a HR manager, and a conflict management strategist. And I teach professionals how to go from swords to words in their relationships, systems, and with their workflows to ease the gap between issues and outcomes and to create a peaceful workplace. Today on Tuesdays with Tabitha, we're going to be talking about three proven strategies to calmly handle workplace confrontations. So grab your pens, grab your papers, share this with your bestie, and let's get ready to do some conflict resolution strategy work. Now, this is May, and in the month of May, it is actually Mental Health Month. And it's very, very important because of how many of us actually feel the symptoms and experience symptoms of mental ill health, right? There are many, many mental health issues that are around us and sometimes that we experience that we don't always know how to manage. Anxiety is one of them. And helps us, anxiety prevents us from handling workplace confrontations well. Anxiety is defined in the Oxford Dictionary as a feeling of worry, nervousness, or unease, typically about an imminent event or about something with an uncertain outcome. And if we know conflict, we know that many times the outcome of conflict could very well be uncertain. And so I am here to help you understand that proactive conflict resolution can alleviate anxiety at work and it can help you to promote peaceful profits. So, how do you deal with confrontations at work? If you're watching live, tell us in the comments how you deal with confrontations at work. And if you're watching on the replay, I'd love if you could share with me how you handle confrontations at work. Do you have a personal strategy for handling conflict? And more importantly, does your organization have a conflict management strategy in its handbook, or is that taught to the people who work with you? Is this something that is taught to your team, taught to your leaders? I remember early in my career when I didn't have a conflict management strategy, and neither did the organization that I worked for. And I remember conversations that were successful, and I also remember conversations that were not successful. I remember how hard it was to create buy in for a project that we were going to be putting forward. I remember how hard it was sometimes to achieve collaboration on an item of work or in a workflow. And I remember how hard it was sometimes to just get results that would help move the team forward in the work that we were doing. And surprise, surprise, most people don't like being told what to do. So, how do we achieve that balance? Whether we are an individual or an organization, to try to get by and get the job done, and also incorporate conflict management into what we do. Because trying to get by without conflict management as a part of our workplace strategies can make life very, very difficult. So, what is the best way to handle confrontation in the workplace or in other spaces that you inhabit? Many, many leaders differ in approach. There's some leaders who choose to handle conflict by having power contests. And you find leaders like that dominating people in the organization. You find people at the top getting to say how conflict is resolved or handled. And while this is effective in some cases, many times it can lead to dissatisfaction from junior team members who feel that they don't have a voice, who feel that they're not included in the decision making process, and who just get tired of the power plays that are in the organization, and they may in turn walk away. Another way of handling conflict that I see leaders doing sometimes is having a rights contest. So you find organizations like this very, very litigious. They want to discuss and document what happened. They want to look at the rights and the responsibilities, and all of that is correct. While it might be effective, what happens in a situation where people want to handle conflict by a rights contest, discussing, documenting, examining rights and responsibilities, but there's no record of what happened, no way to make a record of what happened, and no witnesses who are willing to say, this is what I saw. If you are an organization or a leader who likes to document the rights and who moves towards trying to establish who has rights in what situations, with no record or no one willing to come forward and say this is what happens, it can be difficult to manage conflict. Other leaders choose the approach of reconciling interests, where they manage conflict by balancing interests and needs. And that is more of a mediating approach with facilitated discussions to encourage resolution. And leaders who are using positive confrontational techniques so that no one feels attacked or called out or shamed, yes, or belittled. That is the approach that I like to prefer, because in that approach, you can actually add an examination of the rights, and you can also examine where power lies and who is responsible for what. So I like to recommend the mediating approach when handling conflict. And so what I want to leave you with today are three proven strategies to help you calmly handle workplace confrontations. Now, the first strategy that will help you calmly handle workplace confrontations is to know how to manage confrontation in the workplace. So, how do you get this knowledge? Well, strategy one, analyze the conflict. How do you do that? Well, you analyze the conflict by doing an assessment of what is currently happening. You ask questions and you listen so that you can find out how many people are involved in the conflict or see if everyone is represented. And more importantly, find out if there is a balance of power and if that balance is equally balanced or if it might be unequal. If there's anything that you would like to know about analyzing content, drop it in the comments. Or if you've done this successfully before and analyzing content is something that's one of your strengths or something that you want to learn more about, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. Just drop them in the comments and I'll come back and chat with you on them. Now, on to the second strategy. I promised you three strategies. This one is strategy number two. And this works if you're wondering how to deal with confrontation anxiety, because you might have some of that and you might not know how to approach it or what to do. You might be someone who wants to understand what's happening before you make a decision. And this second strategy will work for you. It is documenting the incident. And how do we do that? We document the incident by making notes of what happened in the form of a timeline. so that you're able to express what happened, when it happened, where, and how. And when you're documenting, also be sure to document how parties feel about it. It makes for very good practice to document the conflict if you might be having confrontation anxiety. However, I want to caution you not to try to diagnose the problem when you're documenting. Just make the record so that you can study it, gather more information, and come back. And why do I do that? It's because sometimes in trying to diagnose the problem while you're documenting it, you can be led to make assumptions of situations that might not actually be an issue. Now, another thing that I could advise you to do when you're documenting the incident is to keep it in a way that it can be used during meetings or mediation. And this is important, especially if you're going to be speaking with an attorney in the future, if meetings or mediation doesn't work. So, the third and last strategy for knowing how to calmly handle confront the third and last strategy for knowing how to calmly handle workplace confrontations is to plan the outcome. And how do we plan the outcome? Well, you want to review your options and you want to ask for help if you need help. So, when you are reviewing your options, be sure that you can create a safe environment. You are, as a leader, responsible for the psychosocial safety of your team members. And so, in reviewing your options, you want to create a safe environment so that you can hear what they say. When you plan the outcome, you have already analyzed the conflict and you've documented the incident. Now, when you're planning, you want to get all the parties to the table and host a facilitated discussion so that you can get to the heart of the matter. If you're not confident that you can host a facilitated discussion, then you want to ask for some training or some coaching. So it can be training for your team or coaching one on one or in a group for you. And if this is something that would benefit you, feel free to reach out to me in the comments or via DM, and I'd be happy to speak with you more on that. If you would like to learn a little bit more about how to deal with workplace conflict as a manager, I invite you to join our Facebook group, Conflict Resolution Room, where you're going to get more tips and strategies on how to deal with workplace conflict. And if you'd like to find out more about conflict resolution coaching, just leave us a message in the comments or send me an email at info@marshalldukeLLC.com, and I would be more than happy to talk to you about what you need. Take care, and remember that life that you are living is someone else's dream. So have a wonderful rest of the day, and I'll see